Well, I've had muscle contractions, muscle stiffness. Sometimes in the evenings, I become tight as a board. I feel like I become like a board, and all I want to do is lie in my bed. I have times where every single joint in my body hurts, including, my finger joints, my knees, every single joint. I even sometimes have some kind of, when I lift up my arms, I have pain in between my ribs. When I first came in here, I think it was about 2 months or so ago now, I would say my symptoms were at a 10 for me, and I could not function. I even had to have my niece had to bring me to the appointment because I couldn't drive. When I came here, I was not only in a lot of pain and stiffness and shuffling when I walked, because I couldn't lift my legs because of the pain in my hips, knees, ankles, everything. So I'm like shuffling around. So I was completely dysfunctional. And when we began the treatments, I responded really positively to even the first treatment. I was already diagnosed with fibromyalgia previously. My fibromyalgia is basically, which I have, I do have that too. And that feels like a burning throughout my body. I have tremendous emotional dysregulation.
Exactly.
Where I would just completely fall apart.
Right.
And I did not have my usual ability to like do anything about it.
Right.
And a lot of that has completely calmed down, having had a child abuse background and, the education that you provided me with that. And even though I'm a psychologist, I find it very strange that I did not understand that I myself had likely brain trauma. Like that did not occur to me. No one ever mentioned that to me. No one ever said there are certain things that are harder for me than other people, which makes sense to me because of my abuse history. But I never understood, well, it's because I have a traumatized brain. The three of you who were taking care of me were very specific each time. Like, you guys listened to what I had to say, the report I gave each time. I could tell it was being written down. It was being communicated to you. Sometimes they would come get you. You would come in, you would make adjustments based on the symptoms. You would redraw my little cat.
That's right.
Even in the first time I saw you, you brought me my brain scan. And when you showed me that there was objective data that explained what was happening, and I could see it in those colors, and I could see that I had profound damage in there, I actually felt a lot of relief. And my self-esteem immediately felt better. And the shame that I was carrying around because I was so confused kind of went away. And I'm like, dang, no wonder you're struggling. We did my examination and the scan, the brain scan, and the first treatment all in the same day. Because I was so incapacitated. The very beginning TMS symptom treatments gave me took my symptoms from a 10 down to where I think I even got to where I was not having them at some points at all. TMS is kind of weird at first. So it feels like, kind of like tapping like that. And so there's a pressure and I can feel it. And at first, they begin at a certain dialed number, moderate sensation, and then it gets turned up as you get used to it. Whatever the stimulation is turned on, because I would immediately get a transformation. And I would immediately relax. I can go up and down stairs with my heels on, kind of like running. I have no discomfort whatsoever, and I feel like my brain is super solid. Then I'm able to drive there. I'm able to walk up the stairs in heels. I wear heels and a dress to work, and I've been able to pull that off. As my symptoms, my physical symptoms have gone away, and as a result of these treatments for this other thing, I have been experiencing a psychological and spiritual healing. And I started getting to have the emotions about what had happened to me that I never got to have. because I was in a frozen state my whole childhood. Yep. Some days I feel like a little dynamo.
Yep, absolutely.
I feel well and free of symptoms, and I feel mentally online, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I can foresee where I'm going to have like a very bright future.
That's right.
We're all very committed to dialing in the treatment for me to be specifically exactly what I needed each time I came in. And so when I think about entrusting one of my patients to someone, I want them to be taken care of the way you took care of me. Knowing that there's an option, it takes about 2 months or so, where a person gets a rewired brain, and life no longer has to be so hard for that person who didn't choose to be traumatized in the first place.
Exactly.